Hi, welcome back to episode 37 of the Great Guitar Build Off 2022. The deadline's come and gone, all the pressure's off, so let's just settle in and crack on with making the rest of this guitar, starting with getting the carve done on the neck. And the first step in getting this neck carve done, and I'm sure you've seen me do this before, is to take these two templates and carve the profile for these templates in at the 1st and the 12th fret locations. And I'll do that just with a really rough rasp, and maybe get the shinto involved as well. But I think at this stage it'll all be rasp. Once I've done that, I can then use the facet method to kind of get the rest of this central section of the neck down to those two profiles. And once that's done to my satisfaction, we can then start to think about getting the two transitions from the heel and the headstock done. It's quite a long job. It's probably going to be 2 or 3 hours work to get this done, but to be honest, it is one of my favourite parts of the guitar building process. And the way that the neck feels in the hand is a huge part of the guitar, affects everything in my opinion. So it needs to be done right, but it's nothing to be afraid of. And to start with, we'll just take the round section of this rasp and just start removing material where I've marked for the fret positions. Okay, so that's the 1st and the 12th fret positions carved away. Now normally what I'd do is I'd measure this all up and find where the centre lies on each half of the neck. But what I've just done is had a very quick measure up, and actually the transition from these walnut stripes to the maple stripe is pretty much halfway between the centre line and the outside of the neck. So I'm going to use that as a visual reference, and I'll just mark halfway down the actual neck itself for my other reference line, and then we'll start carving that away with the shinto at a 45-degree angle to create the first of the facets that's going to form the carve on this neck. Okay, so that's the main area of the neck kind of carved down now. Worked up a bit of a sweat doing that as well. It's mostly where I need it to be. So now I'm going to make a start on the two transition areas, namely the headstock and the heel. And all I've done here is I've just drawn an arc on with a compass to give me a rough guide of where I'm going to cut to. And then I'll take my trusty spoon gouge and just start working this material away and kind of blending it in to what I've already carved in this section here. Now you might think that this is quite a risky thing to do and that we could start chipping out material that we don't want to on here, but actually what we're doing is employing one of the most basic fundamental principles of woodworking, and that is to create a stop cut and remove the waste. So when we use the rasp to introduce this initial profile, it basically cut all of the grain for the waste that we want to remove, which means it's not going to split out into the wood that we want to keep. Works really well in pretty much every situation you will encounter whilst doing some woodwork. And as long as you're cutting in the right direction, this way and not this way, you're very unlikely to remove material that you want to keep. Now you might have remembered from previous episodes that I've actually gone for a slightly wider nut profile on this neck because I was very keen to not break through the outer walnut section on the neck. And if we cut to another shot, you can see why. Because this is the look that I wanted to maintain. I wanted to keep that outer section of walnut there so it then swoop through into the headstock transition. And I think that looks bloody lovely. I am very, very happy with that. And we've got the same on the other side. It's slightly different because this section is slightly different, but all in all, very, very happy with that. Okay, so with that done, we can now turn our attentions to the other end of the neck and getting this heel transition done. Now, I'm only going to go so far with this. I'm going to leave quite a bit of this until I've actually got the neck glued in, because I'll be really honest with you, I am struggling to imagine what this transition is going to look like. I haven't got a lot of material to play with here. This is quite thin, and I just fear that if I start carving a lot of this away while it's out of the guitar, it's unsupported and it could break quite easily. So what I am going to do is just concentrate on getting some of this bulky material off here, getting the rest of the neck kind of down to thickness, and then continue the carve and the curve of the neck along here, probably leaving it short to about here so I've got a bit of material to play with. It's not going to be a problem, it's just that I think I need to see it on the guitar and nearer its finished state before I can visualize what I'm going to do with it. So to get this started, literally spoon gouge and start working my way back. And then once I've removed a bunch of that material, I can start to deploy the Shinto and get the rest of it cleaned away. But I'm going to continue with this one off camera because this has gone on quite long enough for now. So I'll be back in a couple of days' time when we can crack on with the rest of this. So until then, as normal, like if you've liked, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll see you then. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.